Where are you devoting focus? Virgo New Moon. The guiding question for this new moon: what could flourish if you committed to the smallest daily acts of devotion? We are invited to turn our attention to thoughts of delayed gratification as we approach the Virgo New Moon on the 23rd of August at 6:06 a.m. Universal Time at 0 degrees 23 minutes. Imagine entering a quiet, sacred workshop. This is a place where the hands move with skill and care. Time flies as the mind holds focus, and this is where the heart learns patience. Here, under the shared Decan rulership of the Sun and Mercury, every action, every stitch, every note, and every word becomes an offering to something greater than the self. There are no grand gestures, performances, or instant rewards. It is quiet tending and nurturing, a time when the smallest thoughtful acts become the golden thread that binds you to your purpose. Over time, that thread can be woven into a tapestry. Under this new moon, you begin weaving, but will you create? I'm Sonia of Celestia Astrology. If you enjoy this, please do like, subscribe, and comment and share your experiences of this new moon. And join me now to explore further the astrological threads of this new moon through the symbology of Virgo and new moons, moon families, the storytelling of the first decan of Virgo, as well as its corresponding tarot card, the Eight of Pentacles, and especially not forgetting the astrology of this new moon. I include some ritual and reflection suggestions to help you align with and co-create with this moon. The new moon in Virgo 1 offers us the first seeds of a story that will unfold in its own natural time, maybe in 2 weeks to the Pisces full moon, or 6 months to the next Virgo full moon. Both also lunar eclipses carrying intense, unpredictable lunar power, or over years in the moon family. This lunation sits in the very first degree of the sign, where Mercury is at the peak of their power as ruler, exalted ruler, and bound ruler, and the Sun shares its light with Mercury as decan rulers. It is a meeting of the quicksilver mind and the sovereign heart, the craftsman and the king, calling us to exacting work done with humility and maybe duty. It is the greatest focus of mercurial energy that we find in the zodiac. In the seasonal calendar, this is harvest season in the Northern Hemisphere, a time when the light begins to wane, the darkness is growing. Symbolically, we begin to measure what has grown and assess if it can last us through the cold and dark months of winter. The mutable earth quality here encourages sorting, editing, and preparing for the next season, while the yin nature draws us inward to work quietly on the essentials. Mutable ground. Virgo is Mercury ruled, the messenger planet, the trickster, the psychopomp who crosses boundaries, the god of astrology, and the quicksilver king, is in their own temple and the place of their exaltation. Mercury's gifts of precision, discernment, and craft thrive here. Virgo is mutable earth, a paradox in itself, offering solid, tangible, and material results, while adaptive, teaching us how to work with shifting conditions without losing that inner stability. It grounds our thoughts and actions in the fertile earth that can adapt to what is planted and create a harvest when tended with the best care. Virgo's yin or feminine nature brings a receptive, integrating quality, drawing energy inward for refinement rather than outward for display. This makes it receptive and responsive to external forces while carrying a precision that can cut through chaos and disruption with its focus on the small details that bring joy and comfort. Virgos will often have a plan and a process for all eventualities. This is the optimum experience of Virgo. The shadow side can be paralyzing overthinking, anxiety, and the drive for unattainable perfection. With Mercury currently averse to Virgo and Leo, this may manifest as a detachment from a sense of authentic self and purpose. Doubts may arise and tarnish the confidence we have nurtured throughout Leo season. Watch out for this and find a regular, small and daily practical self-care action which supports and nurtures you. Mercury here does not scatter thoughts as it might in the airy realm of Gemini. Here, in the grounded earth, it gathers, sorts, classifies, and refines. In Virgo's temple, even the smallest daily acts maybe folding laundry or watering a plant, editing a sentence, can become an act of sacred devotion when we take action with intention and open up to finding the sacred in the mundane. This lunation marks the first of 2 new moons in Virgo this season, the first one at the tender first degree, and the other at the final, anaretic or fateful and challenging, as well as solar eclipse at 29 degrees on September 21st. The first plants a seed at the beginning of the sign's story, while the second will gather the last of its lessons before handing the thread on to Libra. The nature of new moons. New moons are dark, hidden moments. We cannot see the light that the moon normally reflects for us during its cycle, and this symbolises going within. Demetra George in her blog describes them as times of the birth of the light, full of a subjective sense of new possibilities. A new moon is a moment of seeding in the Virgo area of your natal chart, a refresh of the themes. The moon disappears from sight, hidden by the sun's beams as they meet, where it's infused with renewed solar intention. Dietrich Pessin's Moon Family method, as outlined in Lunar Shadows 3, shows how these beginnings can stretch into a longer story over time, unfolding with turning points at the key lunations. The idea is that each new moon initiates a series of interconnected phases, creating a predictive pattern. This gives us a longer 27-month narrative that unfolds every 9 months as the moon returns to the same part of the sky to form turning points or pivots in the story. A new moon is the beginning of the moon family, a seed moment full of potential where we might set intentions and orient towards new growth, but even without our intentional participation, the refresh will still happen. It is the invisible phase, when we are invited to tune into subtler inner promptings and begin again, often without external clarity. The moon family model reminds us that each lunation can begin a 4-part arc, especially for those with natal placements near those degrees. For this moon family, this new moon creates the seed moment. The first quarter moon will be the new growth breaking ground on or around May 23rd, 2026 at 2 degrees of Virgo. The full moon will be an eclipse. The fruit will be revealed on February the 20th, 2027 at 2 degrees of Virgo. And finally, the last quarter moon, the composting and release of what we have outgrown, on December the 20th, 2027 at 28 degrees of Leo. The cycle begins with the question of where we devote our focus. Can we work diligently with humble commitment? Those with planets or angles in early Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces and Gemini may identify with this moon family more closely. Equally the earth signs, Virgo, Capricorn and Taurus, and those whose Lord of the Year or solar return ascendant is Mercury. This Virgo 1 new moon is especially potent for 2 reasons. How apt for a double-bodied, mutable sign. It is the first of 2 consecutive new moons in Virgo, the second coming at the very last degree on the 21st of September. The story arc between them suggests a season of refinement, the beginning and the end of Virgo woven together in one passage of time. Also, this new moon begins both a moon family and a lunar cycle of 6 months that includes not 1 but 2 lunar eclipses, which intensifies the lunar energies at the peak, showing that what we start now has potential to grow into something karmic and significant if these degrees impact our natal chart. The Lord of Crossing Boundaries takes us back from early Virgo to 28 degrees of Leo to close out the story, suggesting that our inner reflections may ultimately lead back to our outer expressions. The cycle begins in the quiet mastery of this sacred Virgo temple, but ends with a Leo burst of fire. Do you know what house Virgo and Leo are in for your natal or birth chart? This will tell you more about what themes might arise. You can book a reading with an astrologer or an astro coach to explore this further. And there'll be a link to book with me in the show notes. I have YouTube videos you can watch, and you can find those links below as well to learn how to cast a chart and identify the houses so you can highlight what themes to expect for yourself. My Astro Coaching Workbook can also help you work with and co-create with the lunations. You can either purchase it or download it for free when you upgrade your subscription on Substack to paid and financially support my work. It's low cost, it's the very lowest level that Substack allows, and because I know things are tight, I've thrown in an astrology readings discount too, as well as offering a live monthly Zoom Q&A meeting, and also I offer horror readings by donation, and that is divination in the moment. So we ask the oracle for a yes or no answer to those burning questions that you have. So back to Virgo 1 and the Decan of Humble Mastery. The first Decan of Virgo is ruled by the Sun and Mercury, with Mercury also holding exaltation and bound rulership. Here, the mental precision of Mercury is warmed and illuminated by the Sun's life-creating light, offering a space for skill, dedication, and clarity of purpose to thrive. Precision meets patience, allowing mastery and devotion to shine. The mind and individual expression of skill and focus are highlighted, with Mercury at the peak of its expression. It's detail-oriented, sharply observant, and deeply invested in improvement. The Sun adds warmth, visibility, and a sense of purpose to that work. Austin Coppock calls this Decan a tree bearing fruit, a place where patience and exact attention lead to ripeness in their own time. It's the patience of the orchard keeper, the steady tending that brings something from green and unready to sweeten and ripen. Nothing here is rushed. Every step in the process matters. The image this creates reminds us that true mastery is not a single act, but a repeated, consistent, continuous devotion. He writes that it is the capacity for humble observation of and careful tending to the created world which lends this Decan its disposition to fruitful works. Kira Ryberg calls this Decan dedication, describing it as the space where care and attention become sacred acts. The work here isn't simply about productivity for its own sake, it's about the quality of energy you bring to each task. When we act from devotion, the smallest actions can hold the greatest meaning. This creates for me the idea of making your own environment into your temple and treating it as sacred, maybe some part of your work, your home, or any regular task such as caring for pets, and being open to a new perspective on that environment and action. From the Wild Way Oracle, the card is named Humility, and we are given the keywords for the Decan: careful tending, observation, and quiet competence. In the card, we see the Virgo 1 boar, carefully tending to their tree, watering the base as the fruit ripens on it, and some fruit has fallen around them. The guidebook says that the boar tells us good things come to those who wait. With dedication, patience, and careful attention, in time your tree will also bear ripe and delicious fruit. It's essential now not to rush or try to force a result. Instead, you must humbly observe the process of creation by paying attention to each stage of growth. If you provide assistance, it must be gentle and applied only when necessary. Allowing the natural process to unfold ensures that nature may take its rightful course. This is a reminder that magic often lives in the small, repeated gestures. The boar understands that the path to transformation is paved with steady, loving adjustments. Together, through these lenses, Austin Coppock's patient tree, Kira Ryberg's temple of devotion, and the humility of the Wild Way, we see into the essence of Virgo 1. Slow, intentional work that honours both the process and the eventual offering. This Decan asks us not only to create, but to tend with care and intention, trusting that the final harvest will reflect the quality of our attention. Tarot. Focused 8 of Pentacles. The Tarot's 8 of Pentacles embodies this spirit. It shows the craftsman at his bench, focused on the final touches, while past works hang on the tree as testament to his skill. T. Susan Chang writes, "No detail is too small for your attention. Learn to love the backstage, for in obscurity the hidden light is burnished to its greatest shine." This is the quiet competence that Virgo 1 rewards. Austin Coppock writes that this signifies great attention to small matters, and that there is also great humility here. For the old apprentice represents a willingness to put away pride and submit to the demands of the craft instead. T. Susan Chang, who is the boss of me? T. Susan Chang picks up this theme and develops it in her verse inspired by the Eight of Pentacles. Guess who is the boss of me? The Solar King, or Worker Bee. Coins of the realm, pieces of 8. I am both serf and head of state. Common sense and humble acts. Skip your theories, just the facts. Keep my house and shape my clay. Routine and reason rule the day. This is an excerpt from T. Susan Chang, Dreaming the Decans. What do these words inspire for you? Are you led by the Solar King, the Worker Bee, or are you your own sovereign? The astrological conversation. This new moon arrives with the Sun conjunct Regulus, the royal fixed star, newly progressed into Virgo after spending over 2,000 years in Leo. Regulus originally marked one of the 4 cardinal directions with the 3 other royal fixed stars. According to astrologyking.com, Regulus was at 0 degrees of Cancer in 2345 BC, and as one of the brightest stars served as a navigation point and guide. Regulus brings themes of honour, success, as well as the burden of responsibility. Crown must be carried with integrity and duty, or risk public and visible downfall. The light of kingship now passes through the workshop of Mercury, suggesting that authority and recognition must be earned through skill, service and attention to detail. The fixed star Regulus reminds us that honours come with responsibility, while Virgo 1 reminds us that they also come with practice and patience. The ruler of Virgo, Mercury, is still in Leo. In Hellenistic astrology, there is no line of sight for the rays of Mercury to reach Virgo, meaning the new moon is unsupervised and a little unsure of itself, waiting for the information to become clearer. This also tracks with Mercury still in retrograde shadow until the 25th of August. There is some blind spot still remaining. Maybe there are some incubating ideas from the retrograde that need you to lay some preparation and foundation in Virgo before they are ready to share. Maybe there's a sense of unpreparedness or anxiety, the mind needing to catch up with the intentions and plans we set, or the big Leo dreams needing some revision before we can dedicate ourselves to the work. Or something that is unsaid or needed to come into reality before we can begin the work. Can you identify how this is showing up for you personally? Knowing which houses the new moon and Mercury are in for you will help with this. The retrograde shadow means it is travelling back over the path it went forward on in July and then retrograded back through. This is now the 3rd time over the same area of our charts, bringing an opportunity to put right, to redo or revise whatever the retrograde showed us would benefit from deeper thought. Although Mercury is travelling direct, it has yet to return to the exact degree that it stationed and turned retrograde at, 15 degrees of Leo. This will be the point where it emerges from the shadow. The moon's square to Uranus suggests that disruptions or flashes of insight could jolt us from our routines, urging creative adjustments and new ideas. Beware of distracting rabbit holes, though. Uranus in Gemini does have sight of its ruler, Mercury in Leo by sextile, bringing potential opportunities for liberation. The new moon is achingly close to the karmic nodes in Virgo and Pisces. We know that eclipse season is coming in September. This moon is just 1 degree away from being a partial eclipse itself. It may carry some whole sign karmic energy that prepares us and introduces us to eclipse season. Aligning with the Virgo 1 new moon, the burning question of this lunation, what could flourish if you committed to the smallest daily acts of devotion, is not always easily answered at the first read. Think of it as an invitation to notice how small acts might accumulate, how steady attention can shape reality over time. The answers may lie in your work, your craft, your habits, or the small daily acts that shape your inner world. You're not being asked for a dramatic leap, but for steady hands and a discerning eye. Let this be your invitation to set intentions that honour process over speed, humility over display. The Sun and Mercury offer you both clarity and craftsmanship, a reminder that the most enduring fruits are grown with patience. Then reflect on what small change is coming into your life, and what you want to invite in, and how might you nurture it. By the next Virgo lunation in September, and certainly by the full moon in February 2027, you may see the fruits of what is hidden but initiated now. Where in your life could slow, steady attention yield the greatest results? Which daily actions, however small, embody the values you want to live by? How would you know if your desire for improvement tips into unhealthy perfectionism? And what are you willing to tend without immediate reward? And a suggestion of a simple ritual. At your altar or your favourite quiet space, place a small bowl of seeds or beans, a pot of soil, and a jug of water. Hold one seed in your palm and speak aloud an intention for something you plan to tend over time. Something that can't be rushed. Plant